Howdy all Movex Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Oh, nice. Okay. I am getting stuff for bullets. I was gonna hunt some more for the Crucible that I need. Obviously, I'm not finding the Crucible. And and then the plane came over, I went over and grabbed the box, and then my inventory was really full, and I went to shoot some people, and it turns out I only had a couple of bullets. So I thought I better come back and get my hands on some bullet materials. And it looks like I'm out of lead. So I'm going to get some lead, going to get some coal, going to get some nitrate, and see about making some bullets so I can go back out on the search. I thought we'd start with my post-jury duty that I was complaining that I'd have to go to. I did have to go to it. I did have to be on a jury. Yeah, so it was interesting. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was also pretty awful to have to do it. So I got there about 8 in the morning, right? Because they said I had to be there at 8:15, and I definitely don't like to be late to something that's official, right? And this seems pretty official. And so I got there a bit early, not horribly early. There were about 8 other people there when I got there waiting to go in. And so I stayed in my car until it was about 10 after 8. Oh, dang it. I thought that would stay stuck there. Stay stuck, all right? And stop hitting escape, man. It doesn't do what you think it does. So, we go in. I I wore my boots. My boots sit off the metal detector. I kind of figured they would, but I wore them anyways because they're comfy. And they're steel-toed, steel-shanked boots. And the cop or the security guard was like, so I'm gonna have to check your boots. I'm like, all right. And so he waves his little wand over him, and he asks me, "You ain't got a grenade or a Glock shoved in there, do you?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "All right, well, you can go in then." Oof, tough security. And so they take us upstairs to a huge courtroom on the second floor. Like you probably could have sat. If we were sitting like normal, we weren't because we were social distanced. But if you were sitting normally, what are these things called? I can't. It's a frame right there. Can I have like 50 of them? And I'll bet you probably could have fit 150 people in the public gallery section of it. Big bench raised up, jury box off to the side, all raised up high, and big wooden witness stand and all that. But they had us in there as their holding area for the jurors, and so they brought us in. I don't know how many there were. I feel like I'm not sure if everybody was in that room because they didn't bring very many people in, so it's really irritating that I was even selected to get to that point. Um, and so, uh, in the end, they started with 7 people. We have apparently a legal minimum requirement of 6, and so then they need one alternate just in case someone can't stay if they get sick or there's an emergency or something. And so I was number 7. I was number 7 when they were calling people in. They got to 6, and then there was a pause, and I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh, we need one more. And they're like, juror number 17. And I'm like, yes, because I was juror number 16. And then they said my name because they could not get the numbers right all day long. And so then they take us into the tiny little courtroom. We were still socially distanced, but you might have been able to fit 30 people. I bet you couldn't fit 30 people in that room. 20 people in the gallery. And so there were 4 of us who sat in the gallery. There are 3 rows of pews. And so I sat on one end, another guy sat on the opposite end. The pew in the middle was empty, and then 2 people sat on either end of the pew in the front. And then the defense and prosecution sat at tables in front of that. And then in the jury box, they had three chairs, one at either end in the back, and then one in the front in the middle. So we were all nice and social distance, I guess. And so it was a little weird. And then they asked us the questions on whether or not we're going to be the jurors. And so it was about 9 o'clock. Like, I got there at 8, and so I'm already an hour into this thing. And the where what's the it's right click, right? No, left click. There we go. Can't remember how to switch driving types. So I was kind of surprised because like, this is a court. I should move this a little bit. I like that I got out, drove that around, and then I just came right back to the same spot because what I was looking for is right here. Like, it's a court. This is court. This isn't this isn't like I show up willy-nilly to a party 3 hours after it starts. And even when they were picking the 7 people to start with, people were just coming in. And I'm just like, this is crazy to me because you were supposed to be here an hour ago. But anyways, so they take us in there, they ask us questions. Apparently my answers were good enough, so I got to stay. They threw a couple people out, they bring in new people, and asked them the same questions they already asked us. It took 2.5 hours to finally get 7 people selected. And then they started. And so there was a couple of odd moments with jury selection. One was they asked us if we had been involved in a similar kind of case, and this one woman raises her hand. Not only was she going to be a defendant in a trial where she did a similar thing to what was going on, but she also was going to be tried in that courthouse the next month. And I'm just like, who's in charge of bringing these people in? You didn't know that she she shouldn't be here for something like this? Like, and the judge is like, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stop questioning at this point with this juror, and I'm going to dismiss you. And given your current state of affairs, I'm going to say don't don't come in on Thursday either. You don't even have to call in to see if you need to come in. The same thing's going to happen. So you're dismissed. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, she's dismissed. Oh, I didn't say that, but in my head I was like, yeah, no kidding, she's dismissed. Um, and so, and then the other one was, dude didn't know what the word direct meant. Um, like, not the concept of direct and circumstantial, which I mean needed to be clarified. I wasn't sure the difference between direct evidence and circumstantial evidence myself. Um, and which they explained to us, but he wasn't sure what the word direct meant, because he said he was confused by those words. He was confused by a few words, and so I thought he meant circumstantial because that's a big word that we don't use very commonly, um, and so um, when they asked if that was the word, he says yes, and I wasn't sure what the other one meant, and they're like direct, and he's like yes. And I'm like, ooh, how do you not know what the word direct means? Uh, like, you never had directions? Or maybe you're just not aware that words build off of each other like that? I don't know. But I was shocked by that a little bit. He did not make it as a juror. Yeah, then we got to the part where the trial starts, and I'm just like, all right, here we go. They couldn't get the technology to work. It they tried to show some videos, and the laptop wouldn't read the discs, and they couldn't get the videos to display on the screen half the time, and I am not clear as to who set up their technology, but they're using Zoom, which I have used like one time, and that's fine. I don't have anything against Zoom, but they're using Zoom to record the judge during the trial. Like, he's the only one in the Zoom meeting. And so when they would want to display the prosecutor's laptop on the screen, um, they would bring her into the Zoom meeting so she could share her screen. And I'm just like, this is bizarre. I mean, sure, I'm in the field of IT, but it just seemed like a weird way to bring the screen over. Like, you just don't have screen sharing? I don't understand. It's so weird. There's no way this courthouse doesn't have an IT department. Get the IT department to let you screen share onto the screen. Why are you going through Zoom? Uh anyways, so it was bizarre to me. And yeah, uh so the case was a OWI case, and one of the things that was super bizarre to me, like I I'm not a lawyer, but I do listen to, but I stayed in a Holiday Inn. I do listen to a lot of true crime, wrongfully convicted type podcast kind of things, and I have to say the people who were lawyers at the courthouse I was at, both the prosecutor and the defense, seemed a little scatterbrained and um, not just scatterbrained, but like really, really had plans they were going to stick to, even though it had nothing to do what was going on in the courthouse. Oh, crap. Yeah, I'm getting blown up. I just wanted to get over here. I was thinking I could just duck through that. I gotta go get some coal before it gets too dark here, because it's day 28, so I'm about to get some hordes. And I need coal to make bullets here. I'm hoping right here's some coal. I'm hoping that the zombies don't bother me while I work, but so yes, the case was about drunk driving, but the defense was not arguing that the dude wasn't drunk. He was drunk. He was clearly drunk. They had evidence he was drunk. He was on the body camera showing he was drunk. The prosecutor brought in most of her witnesses. Most of her witnesses that she brought in were people who were involved in proving the man was drunk. But the defense did not deny he was drunk. So I don't know why they had to prove to us that he was drunk when nobody was arguing that he wasn't drunk. The witnesses were like, they brought in the this is so bizarre to me. So no one said he wasn't drunk. They had him on video saying he was drunk. They brought in the person who took his blood. They brought in the phlebotomist from the hospital to say how they draw blood. No joke. The phlebotomist. To talk about how they draw blood. And I'm just like, okay. And then they brought in, at least that dude was local. Because they brought in the police evidence locker person who is responsible for taking the blood sample and then mailing it to the state crime lab. Once again, nobody's saying this dude ain't drunk. Nobody. The defense had already said at this point that we're not denying that he was drunk. And the prosecutor just kept going with these witnesses. So we had to hear from the police officer about how he determined the man was drunk. We had to hear about all the roadside tests they did to prove that he was drunk. We had to hear about how they took him to the hospital to get his blood drawn for the test to prove that he was drunk. We had to hear about the how blood draws are made to prove that he was drunk. We had to hear about how the blood draws are kept at the police station to prove that he was drunk. Then I don't even know how far it is. I should look it up. Let me just give me a second. Then this was a crazy one to me. They made the woman from the lab who performed the test drive one way 105 miles to this court case to tell us that yes, she tested his blood and he was over the legal limits. I'm just like, at what point do you need to tell me he was drunk after he already admitted he was drunk and the defense said, yes, he was drunk and he wasn't denying that? Why do I have to sit through all this testimony? And that woman was on the stand for, I'll bet, all of 5 minutes. Where she just said, This is my. Oh, it was a little longer than 5 minutes because first they had to agree that she was a expert, and I don't know how much I need. Let's just go back and get started on bullets, I guess. And so I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, you made her drive all that way. Like, I didn't know how far exactly it was, but I knew where she came from generally. And I was just like, that's a long drive just to come up here so she can say, I put his blood in the machine and I got this amount of drunk. I'm like, okay. Uh, like, you couldn't have just said, this is the report from the place and that's our evidence, and not brought all these people in and make me have to sit here and listen to them. But yeah, the whole case basically came down to 4 witnesses, um, and they made us sit through so many people that didn't matter. Um, I don't know. It was bizarre to me. All right, so I want to make some gunpowder. So you make me some. That's not a lot of gunpowder. Oof. I need more coal. And I need you to melt down this lead. I feel like that's probably not a lot of lead either. I really, really need to get better mining ability. I am so stamina poor when it comes to mining. I do have a skill point available. I was saving it for my int though, because I need what, 2 points to get the next level. Um, 8 and 10. I need so many points to get to steel. It's ridiculous. I guess it'd be better if I just put some points into. I think it's minor 69, right? Craft quality 3 tools. I don't care about that. Increase tool damage by 20%, block damage by 60%. Mother load gives you more stuff. This one makes the stuff break faster. And this one I can't do because I need a strength of level 7, and that's not happening. So it looks like I can't do a lot with so let's go with more from the mining, I guess, for now. Honestly, all of this can be kept in here. Do I have any more coal or nitrate powder? I have a little bit here. Oh, I have a little bit of lead in here too. What's that? Oil shale. Here's some more lead. And but yeah, it was, I don't know, it was so long. We stayed so very long. Um, uh, the judge had to go do a sentencing in the middle of our trial, so we took a 45-minute lunch break. We weren't allowed to leave the room. We had to stay in the same room all day. The jury deliberation room had a bathroom in it, so we were allowed to use that bathroom. And we ate our lunch in the courtroom, and um, uh, man, we were there so long though. About 2:30, I think, in the afternoon, the judge is like, it looks like we're gonna have to come back on Thursday to finish this trial. And I'm like, and And he's like, but if it'd be all right with you, we'll stay a little extra so we can get as close to done today, so you won't be here as long on Thursday. And so we all agreed to that. And so he said that we were going to be staying till court closes at 5. So he said we were going to stay till like 5:30 to 6. And then when we got to about 5, they said they only had 2 witnesses left to go, and if we were willing to stay even later, we could probably finish up the trial Tuesday, and then we wouldn't have to come in on Thursday because the Thursday trials pled out. And so there were no trials on Thursday. Ours was the only. I think there are 2 trials that took place on Tuesday, and so we agreed and to stay because nobody wanted to come back. And so yeah, so we stayed and listened to all their evidence, um, and then we finally got to deliberation, and I had to laugh because I was like, I already know what my decision is before we started deliberating. And I'm like, but I'm going to wait and see what other people. I mean, this is what you do, right? This is deliberation. I'm going to wait to see what the other people say to make up my mind, because maybe they'll have evidence that I missed, and they did, but it was evidence that supported my already made decision of dude's guilty, and that was basically what they said as soon as it started. The way it goes, okay, so now we can talk about this. This guy's guilty, right? And everybody's like, yeah, and 2 of them were like leaning that way, and so then we brought up the evidence, and like, yeah, all right, we can go with that. And so I thought those were tomatoes. I'm like, when did I plant tomatoes? Those are pumpkins. And so it took us longer to decide who was going to be the foreman because nobody wanted to do it. I don't know why, but I mean, I didn't say anything at that point. I'm just like, there are people who are close to the door that could just do it. Uh, and so we were. I think we started deliberations at 7, and we were gone by 7:15. No, we started deliberations a little before that, but we were done by 7:15. We were allowed to leave the building at 7:15, and yeah, so it was a long day. I was there almost 12 hours. Uh, Technically, I was, if you include the drive there and back, it was more than 12 hours. But yeah, ugh, let's hope I never have to do that again. I was hoping for something interesting. I was kind of disappointed that it was just what we got. Uh, um, the dude, the dude, basically, he wrecked his truck while drinking, and when the police got there, in the middle of a blizzard, he said that they couldn't prove he was driving the truck because he was sitting in the passenger seat when they got there. They had video of him saying that. You can't prove it was me. I was in the passenger seat when you got here. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so that is over, and I don't have to go back for a long ever, maybe. I'd prefer ever, but who knows. Alright, I need to make some bullets. So the other thing that we can talk about, real quick here, since I basically used up that whole time talking about my jury duty, is we played D&D last night. I like to talk about my D&D every week. And so last night was the one that I run. It was a little difficult in spots. Not gonna lie. It was pretty fun. Uh, I don't uh, I don't think anything too major happened. I'm playing a pre-made campaign, and so in this pre-made campaign, they got these two ghost guys that the players can talk to, and it was the only part that probably gave us pause because they can't talk, but they can gesture. We're playing online over a headset, so I had to describe my gestures to the players, and I did have to just tell them what the gestures meant a couple of times because they just weren't getting it. And I don't know if that was on my end or their end because sometimes they seem a little obtuse, a little more obtuse than I would expect, and but it is there. And so uh, they so the ghosts, what they want is they want to be killed. Uh, nope, that's not where you make bullets. And so I'm like, all right, you come in the room, and they're like, oh, what are those? Let's attack them. I'm like, they hold their hands when you say that. Can I make these? I can make armor piercings. Huh. Interesting. I like the armor piercing rounds. Um, no, I can't make them because I don't have the book. Never mind. So we'll make regular rounds. Which mostly looks like I don't have enough bullets. So I need lots more lead. So, so, um, I was like, they hold up their hand, like wait, and then they point at you, and then they gesture for you to come forward. And so, like, all right, we draw our swords and cautiously move up. And I'm like, all right, so they point at you, and then they point at themselves, and then they make the slicing your throat motion. And they're like, they want to kill us. I'm like, I'm like, no, it doesn't seem like that's the thing. And like, well, I'm gonna attack. I'm like, they see you ready your attack. They hold their hand to wait, and they wave you to come forward. I'm like, they beckon you to come forward. Oh! I thought they were like threatening us. I'm like, the other two people were like, no, he said to beckon you forward. Oh, well, I didn't hear that. Yeah, I know, because you don't listen. And so it was funny trying to get through that to provide them with the information. Um, uh, some of the problem that we have is that these guys don't pay attention to what's going on, and which is weird when you're playing D&D. I know that we use a digital format where you can see some of the stuff, and so they're relying on what they can see and not necessarily what they learn. But it makes it difficult when something. Oh, not enough gunpowder now. Okay. It makes it a bit difficult when your people aren't paying attention and you bring up something that you feel they should know about. And so, um, so a couple of things, pretty major things happened that they were given the names for. And I don't want to tell them because I don't like it when I'm playing D&D and the DM basically takes control of what I do or know, and just say, this is what your guy does, this is what your guy knows, this is what he thinks about it. I don't like that. I don't like that to be, what's happening to my character. I like to think about things. I like to try and figure out, um, how things are going down in the game. And, oh, I am hungry and thirsty. Going in here. I don't have a lot of good food made up, though. I think there's some fat in this as well. Let's see if I've got enough to make some meat stew here. Yeah, I can make a couple of these. And we can drink some of my cactus juice here. And so, I don't want to do that to them either. And so, they're like, well, we don't know what questions to ask them, right? And I'm like, well, they don't even get the question thing. I'm like, they point at their head, like at their brain, uh, and then they point at their mouth and then make a gesture like words are coming out. And I don't like, they could not get the leap from brain, mouth, speak gestures to they had knowledge that they wanted to give them. And that took a long time before somebody's finally got close enough. I'm like, yeah, that's it. Like, not a long time. Like, I wasn't going to leave them confused, but I wanted them also have time to figure it out. And so they finally asked some questions and learned a couple of things, and then so this was the part that was just driving me crazy. I was like, they have only seen this entire game one group of knights. Those knights have a huge palisade that they built in the town where they started. They witnessed one of these knights abduct a citizen and take them back to the palisade and allowed it to happen, right? This isn't something they're not familiar with. And so the ghost is a knight. And so I'm like, the book says that he has information about, the knights. And so I'm like, he points at the tapestry on the wall that shows knights fighting orcs and goblins, and then points at himself wearing his knight's armor with the holy symbol on it, and then points at his head after they realize that pointing his brain and his mouth was, I have knowledge. And they're like, yeah, I don't, like, is that a tapestry of you? And I'm like, he shakes his head no. But he does point at the knights. The knights. They're knights. Hint, hint, wink, wink, I said. And they're like, should we know something about these knights? I'm like, they're knights. Right? You remember the knights? Wink, wink. And they're like, oh, I don't know what he's talking about. When did we see knights? I'm like, the knights. He's a knight. The knights in the tapestry. Just, I don't know. And then they're finally like, oh, we did see those knights back in the town. Oh yeah, that one night he took that. She came and took that guy. All right, I had to pause there for a phone call. I also just got attacked by a zombie. He just appeared out of nowhere. I punched him, and then he disappeared. I don't know what the deal was. That was weird. And so, and so then the one guy's like, oh yeah, those knights that we saw. And he's like, yeah, I don't remember what he called them. I don't remember what he called those knights. But it was, oh, there's another one. How are you guys getting up here? How are they getting up here? I don't understand. Whoa, how did you get up here? Did I miss a way up here? Because I... Oh. Oh my. No, this is weird. What is going on? I guess I didn't expect them to go around like that. I guess I should have cut down the... Well. That's fine. Oh, great. Well, nope. Bad doggy. I mean, I thoroughly expected to be attacked by zombies. I just didn't expect said zombies to try to outsmart me like they just did. Yeah, anyways, they... Oh, jeez, I just got killed by a freaking vulture. I hate vultures. I need to put a roof on this place, apparently. That was my plan. I just haven't got that far. Well, this will be fun, because I didn't replace my bedroll out here in the middle of nowhere on Zombie Horde night. Yeah, and then he calls the knights by a totally different name, and I'm just like, who are you talking about? And the other guy goes, yeah, who are you talking about? Where did we run into those guys? And he's like, isn't that what they're called? Knights of the... What did he call them? Knights of the... I don't remember what the name of the knights are off the top of my head. They're the Bastion of something knights. And he's just like some random name out of nowhere, and nobody has any idea what he's talking about. And I'm like, yeah, no, the ghosts definitely shake their head no with that. They don't know what you're talking about. So they finally got a little bit of information about the knights and a magic sword, which is cool, which is in the area. And so they just about finished off Fort Frostfell last night. Which means I need to start getting new stuff put together. They got like 2 more rooms, and then they'll be done. Yep. Alright, well, with that, I am going to call it a day. And a day of this anyways, because I got to go back to work. Yeah. So be better than the small things. Lean into the light. I will talk to you later.